Hello and welcome to 72 Dragons. It's a pleasure to have Dr. Mohan Agashe here with us. My name is Dr. Pietro Aparicio from 72 Dragons. Welcome. Just to give a small introduction, we have Dr. Mohan Agashe with us, who is an actor, director, and psychiatrist with a long and rich history in the film industry and the recipient of multiple awards for his amazing work. What inspired you to pursue a career in acting and producing while being a successful psychiatrist? What took you on this path?
I work in India, and considering the situation in India, very early in my life, I realized you must have two professions, one to survive, other to make it worth. Because your ability decides what kind of work you do, and your liking decides what you live for. So from my early childhood, I've been acting. And as like in everybody's, when you are in school and college, you have a lot of activities which are termed as extracurricular. Yeah, because your formal education, the medium used is only the language of written work. And so we are all textbook conditioned. And actually the skills required for living joy, happiness, and to be rich in emotional experience, all our senses are used. And we have 5 of them. It's like having 5 antennas. We are let into this world with 5 antennas: eyes, ears, tongue, nose, and everything. And as we progress in formal education, gradually we drop our extracurricular activities and thereby become very handicapped. In my case, unfortunately or fortunately, my interest in theater, which was initially a hobby, then a liking, then a passion, in medical college became more serious because I met wonderful friends and I decided to continue acting along with my medical education.
That's amazing, and we see it in the film industry how young and very talented filmmakers struggle because it's not a very easy path. But what a huge advantage that you were able to do both things and things that you were passionate about too. As an actor, you have worked in many films in your entire career. Some of your famous films like Sanma, Patang, and Mississippi Masala. Can you share with us about one or two of your films that have been most impactful in your journey and why?
My first director, Jabbar Patel, who was my director in theater also, who directed this film Samna. At the same time, I worked in a Hindi film by Shyam Benegal, which is called Night's End. Once you're born in that parallel cinema orbit, you keep on moving in that orbit for a long time till some accident happens and you are thrown out. So then I worked with Satyajit Ray and that film Shaudgati, which was the first telefilm on Indian television made by the master. It's called Deliverance in English. Was a remarkable experience. And one such experience of 14 days, I wouldn't have gathered in 10 years. Because simply the way he worked, so meticulous, so economical, so good, taste was so good. And then obviously, some of the roles I've liked. There's a film called Train to Pakistan, in which there is a very complex character because the film is based on partition in India in the freedom time and how this racial violence, the Muslims and Hindus really teaches us a lesson which we have still not learned and captured that violence is not going to solve all problems. And that role of a district magistrate, which I play in that, was remarkable. Wonderful script, and based on celebrated novel of celebrated writer Khushwant Singh called Train to Pakistan. I did some short films also because I'm a resident of Pune. So a lot of senior students needed a local talent. And so I've done a couple of diploma films. So it's so good. We have 2 eyes, we have 2 ears, we have 2 legs. So these were my 2 legs. One was medicine and one was acting.
Right, that's a nice way to put it. 2 legs, medicine and acting. And then you mentioned how the movies can have an impact on social and community issues. So we are known, or you are known for being involved in various communities and social issues. We understand that you initiated a 5-year program based on the study of the trauma of Latur earthquake victims for the Indian Council of Medical Research in 1993. What made you do such a great initiative, and what were some of the outcomes of your work?
Well, as you say, I just passed out and became a postgraduate teacher when that big earthquake in Latur happened. And with a lot of human sufferings and everything. And that was my first realistic opportunity, not only to help, but to understand what is psychosocial rehabilitation. And because psychology is silent, emotions are silent in this world. But the language of image and sound is the language of emotional communication. By visiting the site, listening to people, their stories, though earthquake was common experience for all, each one's experience of earthquake was different. So each one had a different story. So medicine you have to learn. 10 people may have the same illness, but the story of everyone with that illness will differ.
Right. Yeah. And I can hear when you talk about mental health, listening, communication. I would think that your background as a psychiatrist also had something to do for you to be able to see it from a different perspective, which is great. If I can go briefly to you, to your work on films, while choosing any film to work on as an actor or director, what do you specifically search or seek in the project? Also, is there any upcoming projects you're excited about and want to share with our audience?
Sure. First thing I learned, as I told you just in the last question, that language of cinema is a multilingual communication. And like Bergman has said, there is no other medium than cinema which goes directly to your unconscious. And emotion is as important in life as thinking. Mm-hmm. The language of word communicates, shares thinking. Mm-hmm. The language of image and sound. Mm-hmm. IT emotions you have to imagine, like you have to imagine emotions of the tree. Now people are realizing that these are not dead things, they are living things. And the corporatization of medical profession, unfortunately, is ignoring the mental health communication, which depends largely on attitudes and emotional response and thinking. Mm-hmm. And I realized the filmmaker I worked with, Sumitra Bhave, who had nothing to do with films till she was 40 years old. But accidentally, because she had to do a research project with women who could not read or write, she was handicapped by conventional means of communication. So her research finding, she thought, why not communicate to them through a story? And that's how she made her first film. Oh. And when it was shown to these women in urban slum, tremendous response she got. She realized that this is the best medium for education, which has unfortunately been misused and abused only for entertainment. And I found that film can combine all these three languages, and in a storytelling format, it can indirectly educate. So, like I said, P in psychology is silent. E of education should be silent in entertainment. And a good film is one where the screening ends and thinking begins.
That's amazing. I think it's very insightful when you say it, that when entertainment ends is when thinking starts, in the role of film and how impactful it can be, as the story you said about telling a story to these women. So on that same,
as you know, I produced only 4 films because I was doing a film on Alzheimer. I playing the man with Alzheimer, and it was such a good film. I didn't want it to abort, so I put all my life savings to complete the film. And then film was invited not only to festivals but major universities and conferences like Harvard. I showed my film at Harvard Innovation Center, and then I dared to touch the point and the subject of depression and suicide in young people. And it got placed in Golden Lotus. And you wanted to know my current project with the same filmmaker. I told her that, look, now I don't have money at all. So unless you have a subject with mental health or elderly singles, I'm not going to come in the picture. And surprisingly, she came with a wonderful script on elderly singles, which is a big relevant problem today about choice of living in old age. So I'm doing that. Film should be ready by June. It's called Outhouse. And I just completed shooting of that film.
That sounds wonderful. And we're really looking forward to see the end product. And after experiencing and achieving so much in your life, is there any message you want to give to the global filmmaking community about how to make a positive impact in the world? I think you have mentioned a bit about that, but what message would you like the audience to take from this conversation?
This is one of the drawbacks of formal education. If you have to verbalize your message, then you have failed in your artistic work. What you want to communicate, if it gets really communicated, then the message I don't give, they give me this message which I want to give them. And that's so if being medical profession is no good me saying, oh, wonderful, my patient is free of illness now and very healthy. If the patient doesn't concur with it, yeah, I am healthy, then it's an ego problem and you are not successful in your communication. So it's a sad thing if you have to, after doing a good film, telling a good story, if you still have to summarize the message, then probably it's a bad film. So at birth, it's like us. We are taught emotions run deeper. You don't see them much.
Great. Thank you for that message, Dr. Mohan Agashe. And it has been an honor and privilege talking to you about your incredible journey and the work you do in filmmaking and addressing community and social issues. I'm sure there's a lot that we can talk about your work, but hopefully we can continue the conversation in the future. So thank you very much, Dr. Mohan Agashe, for your
I look forward to you looking forward to my next film.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Mohan Agashe.